Alright, so we have our program here, and it prints out the answer 22, right? That's great. But this answer is kind of hard to understand, right? Sometime, maybe if somebody ran this program, they wouldn't understand that 22 is the price of item 1 plus 2 plus 3 added together. Right? They might just think, hey, 22, that's weird. So what it really should say when it prints out the answer is the total price of all the items is 22. Okay? And we can get our program to do that. We do it using something called string concatenation. So let's talk about string concatenation in a new file. And if you remember how to make a new file, you're going to hold down the control button. If you're on a Mac, you're going to hold down control, press variables, the folder, go to new. Don't click on file. We're going to click on Python file. Don't click on file. That's not going to work. Python file. We're going to call it string concatenation. Concatenation, like that. Okay. String concatenation. And what is string concatenation? Well, it's where you take two strings and you stick them together to make one string. All right. So maybe I could say here phrase underscore 1 is equal to hello. And then I say here phrase underscore 2 is equal to world. And yeah, so now I got my two variables that both have strings inside of them, right? And I want to print phrase 1 and phrase 2. Okay. Now, how do I print out phrase 1 and phrase 2? Right? Well, the print function only wants a single string to print out. Okay. Like if I put double quotes around this whole thing, that turns this into one string to print out to the screen. Right? That's what print wants. It does not want phrase 1 string and phrase 2 string. Like that. It doesn't want that, right? If I run the program here, and remember this file is different from this file. Okay? When I press this play sign, it plays the last file that was run. So it plays hello world. Okay? Now, I can't use that play sign to run string concatenation. Okay? So I first need to, if I want to play a new file, I need to hold down control, click, and run string concatenation. Now, once I do that, I can use the plus sign. Okay? So do you see that? Right? It doesn't print out what I wanted to print out, which is like phrase 1 and phrase 2 together. Okay. Why? Because print wants one string. Okay. So I could print out phrase 1. Right? And what is that going to do? It's going to go into the variable phrase 1, and it's going to print out the contents. So this is going to be replaced with hello, and it's going to print out hello. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and you can see there it prints out hello. I could print out phase 2, and I could play it too, and it'll print out world. Well, what we can do to solve this problem is we can use string concatenation. And so I could say here complete. I'll make a variable called complete, and I'll say it's phrase 1 plus phrase 2. Now the plus sign, when you are dealing with numbers like 5 and 7, it adds the two numbers together, right, to make 12. But when you're dealing with two strings, right, what the plus sign is a string concatenating operator. And what is string concatenation? It's where you take two strings and you stick them together to make one string. Right? So what is this going to become? It's going to become hello and world. So it's going to stick these two guys together, which is going to do this, and then it's going to save that string in complete. So if I print complete, that's what it's going to show. Okay. So let's take it back and let's prove that that's actually what's happening. And I'm going to print complete, of course, right, using the string concatenating operator. And I press the play sign, and it prints out hello world with no space. Okay. And why? Because we're sticking this string together with this string, and there's no spaces here in these strings. Okay, well, great. What if I wanted to add a string in there? I mean, add a space in between hello and world, right? Well, I can do that. I can do this, and I can use another string concatenating operator. So you can use as many string concatenating operators as you like, okay? As long as everybody's a string. Phrase 1 is a string, this is a string, and phrase 2 is a string. So since that's the case, we can stick them all together using the string concatenating operator. And if I press play, now we got hello world with a space in between. Not only that, but I can do exclamation point. Okay, and I can press play. All right, so you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, so what? How does that help me with my program over here so that it doesn't just print 22, it prints out the price of this item is $22, right? Well, let's come back to our string concatenating operator, string concatenation program, and let's add a new variable called number, make it equal to 10. Let's see what happens when we try to concatenate a string and a number. Okay, so let's go ahead and do string plus num, and let's press play. Error. It says you cannot concatenate string and an int. And that's right, you can't concatenate a string here and an int here. Okay? But what we can do is we can change this int into a string before it does the concatenation. Okay? So how do we change this integer into a string? Well, we can do str, stands for string, and we'll put parentheses around the num. Okay? So what is it going to do? It's going to first concatenate hello with num, which is a 10, turned into a string, which would give me this. And now I can concatenate these two guys together, and we are able to run our program. Hello 10. Okay. So why is this useful? Why is this something that I want to teach you? Well, it's so that we can print out the answer here in the easily read format. Okay. Answer here, think about it. What kind of data is it? Is it an integer? Or is it a string? Right here. A string, well, string is a set of characters. Right? Okay. Well, answer is a integer, right? Because we're taking this number plus this number plus this number, and we're saving it here in answer. So if I want to use string concatenation and add a string in front of it, I could say the total price of the items is, right? And I concatenate it with answer, and it should print out 22. I run it. Oh, so I'm still running this one over here. Remember, when you switch files, you need to hold down Control, click on the tab, and hit run. So so first I'm going to enter some item numbers in, and then bam, error. Why? Because you cannot concatenate string with integer. We cannot concatenate string with integer. Right? Well, we learned how to solve that problem over here. Right? We take the integer and we turn them into a string. Right? So let's do that same thing over here. str, put parentheses around it, and now we're turning the answer from an integer into a string, and we are now able to concatenate those two together and get something that looks pretty. Okay, so I put enter 5, 7, and 10, and it says the total price of the items is 22. So now our program is easily read by the human user of the program, and it actually solves a real problem.